our program, the platforms are speaking about breast cancer among the population, and hundreds of women in the sister organization. These are the survivors.
These are survivors, yes.
And so there are hundreds more who ought to be a part of your organization.
Like I
Yes?
said, we call them our recipients. So far for the year, we've already gifted 149 pots, I think it is, to date. Last year, we gifted 188. So truthfully, we probably will be right there, 188 again in that aspect, because we still have 2 months to go. So the whole concept is that, yes, these are the women right now who are going through treatments, the recipients. They're going through their treatments. And they have lots of questions. We still must say thanks to the ladies who are in remission. That means their cancers, nothing's happening, like myself, we're in remission. Because it can't come back, and we just don't know what is the cause and why. But if you're in remission, a lot of our women can't actually sit and hear another woman cry and to go through her turmoil. So all of us are not in that aspect. And that's one of the reasons why they just can't come out. So we got to give thanks and praise to those women who are there to help to hold somebody else's hand while they're going through a difficulty. But it is a really hard one, especially if they're not doing well.
You've been in remission now for
17 years.
17 years.
17 years.
When are you cured?
So grateful, so grateful. It just doesn't, I mean, we've had women, 22 years and then come up with a reoccurrence.
Wow.
Yeah, so you just could never tell. You can never tell what causes it or why. And I'm sure we don't try to do anything that's different. I try my hardest to make sure that I do the things that I'm supposed to do, but we just don't know what's going to cause it to trigger off. Mind you, they say stress is the #1 factor. Is it true for everybody? We don't know. Or is it just that our genetic gene is weakening and something else is coming up? We don't know for sure. But we do have persons with longevity and they come back with reoccurrence, yeah.
Stress, you say, is the #1 factor?
Say stress is the #1 factor.
So, stress is ever present.
Ever present.
Yes.
And some of us take it on more than others. And so you could only imagine. And our nurse McPhee is one of the persons, she says, you either gone through your husband, or your children, or you're going through something with yourself that you're not.
Yeah, but your faith is very important. Having a strong faith, AndreaSweeting.
I'm telling you, I could tell anybody, you must realize that your God above can do many things. And you may not feel within yourself that, I guess a lot of us look for it to happen right now, but it doesn't, or it doesn't happen in the time we expect it to happen, but it will. Because you have the faith to walk, I'm sure it will happen. And that's how I feel. I know for a fact, yes, when I was diagnosed, it was a Friday afternoon, and I went to Dr. Farrington. Like I said, 9 years before that, I had a lump that Dr. Farrington and I looked at, and he did a lumpectomy, but it came back benign. There was no cancer in it. But 9 years again, this lump was right back.
Same place?
Same place, same size. And he did a lumpectomy again. And when that came back, he says, I advise you, and I don't say this, I would have the mastectomy where we will take off this breast and we will do chemotherapy and radiation. He says, because this lump is back too fast. But it was a 0 to stage 1. So it was in its early stages as well, but still yet, he advised that I should take the precautions and go ahead and do it. Unfortunately though, he was not in the insurance network. So that is how I got to Dr. Diggis. He was in the network. And he performed the actual surgery. But 17 years ago, as the last time I was on your show, I think Dr. Turnquist was with me. He was just relocating back home. And so we didn't have an oncologist. So I did all my treatments in the US. And for me, like I said, I didn't have bad times, truthfully. I did my chemotherapy with Dr. Gershon Blyden, who is a Bahamian. And so I traveled on a Monday and had that done and came back home Tuesday. I didn't go to work the Wednesdays and Thursdays. And Fridays, I was able to go to work. Fridays and Saturdays, I worked at Comfort Suites in those days, and I say thank you to them for their support during the whole ordeal. And then I had to go into Florida. I spent 8 weeks in Florida to do the actual radiation treatment.
I mentioned faith to you because there are scores of women, Mrs. Sweeting, who will tell you that, well, I know I have a lump, but I'm going to pray about it, and I am going to be healed.
Yes.
What do you say to women such?
I know for a fact, I feel within myself, true faith without works is dead. We have to first step out and do something before God does anything for us. I feel truthfully that we must reach up to him and he's going to reach down. But if we're going to sit here and say he's going to do something and we do nothing, then what do you expect from him? You're not assisting yourself, you're not helping in any aspect, so why should I bother? And that's the way I feel. But I mean, maybe they have a different concept to say that yes, he will do it. I don't feel that way. I feel that we have to step out and show him that I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I know you're going to get me through this. I know you'll get me through this.
Yes, diet and exercise has a big role in trying to prevent cancer also. And I know that you have to keep your body in an alkaline state. And it's important, like we're always talking about, to eat the vegetables, eat fruits, eat just what God already provided for us, right? And not the processed food and not processed meat. And all of these are very cancer causing. And I just actually saw an important thing, the styrofoam containers, how we always get food in styrofoam containers and then we warm it up in the microwave. That's a very good way to get cancer. That's a cancer giving to you right there, because that styrofoam chemical goes in and you can't digest it out. And I even heard the styrofoam cups that we use for our warm tea and our warm coffee that's doing the same thing. So we have to be aware of our environment and very aware of what we're putting into our body, because we're giving ourselves cancer if it's not already hereditary.
Yep. And so a lot of it has to do with our lifestyle. A lot of it might be, you know, like we say, within our communities. But still at the same time, I think it's up to each individual to know your body and to know what's good for you and what's not. And we have to really try to stick to that. I'm not the best person when it comes to exercise, I can assure you that. But the girls in my group, they always say, but you walk too fast.
So you are exercising.
So they have this thing where they tell me, slow down and maybe wait for us and all that. But I can't walk slow, so I just do what I have to do. So maybe I do my own in my own way. But I try to do right by what I eat and how I do things. Really, really do that. Because I know at the end of the day, if anybody is going to feel it, it's going to be me. So I might as well put some time and energy into that.
And they say that eating healthy and exercising is a good way to reduce stress. And we're so blessed to be living here with this weather where we could be outside and even walking the beach and looking at the ocean and feeling the air and feeling the sun on us. These are all wonderful ways that we can reduce stress that a lot of people around the world don't have that opportunity to experience. We're so lucky, actually, and we should be doing it more. I don't even hardly do that. But when I do it, I feel so good. And I always ask myself, how come I'm not doing it more? But it's really about practicing this habit change.
Yeah. And that's the whole point. We have to get ourselves, accommodate ourselves. And a lot of us women, we're so busy taking care, like Dr. Monroe will tell us point blank, we take care of the dog, the cat, the rat, and everybody else, and we forget that we should be taken care of as well. And it is so true, because we become so involved with everything else. You know, you have to go to work, you got to get home and get your children and do this and do that. And then you forget that you need help. And a lot of us really need to make sure that we take some time for ourselves. And one of the things I tell women too, we need to sleep more. We stay up too late, and worse now with all the cell phones and everything else.
Right.
And that's why I tell you, when I go somewhere, I turn minds off.
You need to sleep more.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Rest is important, eh?
Now I get up very early in the mornings because my husband leave home early in the mornings, but at 9 o'clock I won't be in my bed.
Tell me, mentioning your husband, the support of your spouse is extremely important,
Extremely
isn't
important.
it?
Extremely important. I always try to tell people that I always remember the Friday evening that I was diagnosed. It's a Friday evening, and my husband was in the club with his boys at Majors, and I called him and I said, Frank, I have to talk to you about something. So what is it? I said, I just was diagnosed. Oh, I have somebody in here you could talk to. Come down here, man, come down here. And sure enough, he wanted me to come by the club. I went, and there was a young man who had prostate cancer, and he came outside, and he had this pint of ruby red port wine. And he said to me, you buy some prunes and put this in here, and that's going to keep your platelets up. I said, what are my platelets? What is the platelets? He says, that's your blood count. You have your white and your red. He said, and you want to keep your platelets up to be able to take chemotherapy. And I can tell anybody, I left them to the club, and I went home, bought my prunes, and I started that very same evening.
What your what?
Prunes.
Oh, yeah?
Prunes. Put it in port wine. The port wine is, the prunes suck up it, so you just have the prunes, they're nice and plump and fat. And that's what I did. I had no problems, never had to take a second thought. Blood work was always good, always good, always good. And even to the day, I still do prunes. I can't find port wine as often as I'd like to do it, but I put it in wine anyway.
Why?
Because it helps your blood count. It keeps
Brings
your
it up.
blood good, so you do what you could.
I see.
And since I'm already used to it, it works. I mean, when I go to do my checkups, I am amazed to see what happens. So I still do it.
That's interesting. Yeah, you see, every time you come here, I learn something. That's interesting.
Yeah, but no, honestly, I think support from your spouse is really good. And I think that night too, I have 3 boys, and I tell the boys, we need to talk. And my husband said to them, if she got something to say right now, she done made up her mind, so don't have nothing to tell her. She's already made up her mind. And truthfully, honestly, it is really important to know that everybody is going to be there for you to help you through that.
There's a lot of options now. There's a lot of alternative options as well. My aunt just went to Mexico and got a vaccine made from her cancer cells for herself in Mexico. And she was at stage 4, and it suppressed it, so it stopped it. And then she's doing immune therapy and a vitamin C treatment. So her immune system is really high, the levels are really good, and she's feeling a lot better, and it's suppressed right now. So, and then we had, remember the lady from Tasty Teas on the show that did the soursop treatment, and soursop is really good, and I hear neem and moringa, and we have all of these kind of options that people can start looking into.
Tasty Teas lady is one of us as well. That's Hilda Ferguson. She's also a survivor and a member of the group as well too. And she's had a reoccurrence. And so that's when she started the soursop, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, her soursop regimen. So honestly and truly, like I said, most of the things do work, but you have to have that much confidence in it, and you have to do it. Bahamians are not committed.
What you mean?
We're not committed. That's the most important thing. When I say that is, if we have the flu today and we go to the doctor and he's going to give us a prescription and we have to take these pills for 1 week, we're going to take them for 5 days because we're feeling better. We still have 2 left, 2 or 3 of them still sitting there. And that is the way we are. And then 2 weeks later, we start to feel flu symptoms all over again because we weren't committed to taking the drugs to its completion. And we're the same way when it comes to alternatives. I'm not saying that they don't work, but as Bahamians, we're not committed to stay on them and to do them the way we should be doing them. Do we have an idea how much we should take per day and for how long? And because of that, we don't know. And so if you start to slip up because I'm feeling better, and then this cancer says, okay, so she's not serious, or he's not serious, this is where I come in again. So that's the most important thing. But I'm sure if we go to the point where we know how much and for how long the duration, I think persons will do much better.
You know, the BRCA1, BRCA2,
Yes.
We haven't reached BRCA3 yet, right?
They say it's prevalent in the Bahamas. So.
It's prevalent in the Bahamas. And so it's a part of, it's a genetic situation. You were doing testing at various institutions, some churches and all the rest of it over the years. You still do that?
Not really. They're trying to restart it. We just did, when we had Sunshine Insurance for the distribution of the common race for the cure, we did, I think the doctor spoke to the fact that they're really trying to make sure that we can start that testing again, the genetic testings again. It's much needed because persons really need to know for sure how best to help themselves and keep them going. So, no, it's not being done right now, but it's supposed to be starting soon again. So I hope they get that going.
Good.
Yep.
When we return, we're going to talk some more about your promotions, the events that you're doing. And at the end of our program, we are going to be showing a video of
My aunt.
Bianca's aunt.
Lisa.
Lisa? Yes, who is in
Cancer
remission as well?
Yes.
And you said she did some treatment in Mexico.
Right, she went to Mexico.
Yeah.
Because she wanted an alternative.
Right. And you'd also see the presentation to the Canadian Cancer Society, I believe.
Oh, well, my father has always wanted to contribute to breast cancer. He's in the women's fashion business, and so that's very prominent, you know, in women. He wants to help the women, and then his close relations with his mom having it and his sister now. So right now he's donated over $22 million towards trying to find a cure for breast cancer.
Years.
Yes.
Okay, we take a final break here and we'll come right back.